Thank you for the invitation to join this distinguished panel. I am glad to be here tonight. I'm Hilary Shuford, the Executive Presbyter in Mission Presbytery. My personal conviction against the death penalty is not shared by all Presbyterians, just like other significant issues facing our society today. However, various General Assemblies of the Presbyterian Church USA and its predecessor denominations have issued statements in 1959, 1977, 1978, and 1985 opposing capital punishment and calling upon members to work for abolition of the death penalty, and that is why I'm here. My faith and personal story begins in California, where I remember conversations in the mid-1960s about the electric chair being cruel and unusual punishment. But it was in 1979, during my last college class, an ethics course taught by the faculty of the philosophy department and the Duke Divinity School, that I first was able to articulate my core belief that capital punishment is wrong. It is state-sanctioned murder, and murder is immoral. I have never wavered from this position. In fact, my conviction has grown stronger through law school, 18 years of law practice, and more than 10 years as an executive presbyter in the PCUSA and now as a seminary student. I offer you several reasons. First, it's a question: how can a state in a democratic republic have more power than any individual or all individuals who comprise that state? Each of us as an individual citizen is responsible for the actions of the whole. And what is right for one is right for all, and what is right for all is right for one. So if an individual cannot commit homicide, then neither should the state be able to commit homicide. But after a Texas execution, the death certificate completed by the attending physician states that the reason for death is homicide. And what makes it worse is that this execution, the death penalty, is premeditated homicide, or murder in the first degree with malice aforethought. Second, I am convinced capital punishment is wrong because I am a Christian, and I believe in the sanctity of human life. It is wrong to murder because God made and created humans in God's image. The sixth commandment and Jesus' own words are, "You shall not murder." I believe that God is love. And in Jesus Christ, God incarnate offered God's self in the greatest act of God's love. Jesus died once for sin and once for all. This is who God is, a God of compassion, of love, and reconciliation. I believe God is light, and that it is darkness that demands retribution. And the death penalty serves no other purpose than retribution. Through the Psalms, we may pray for God to destroy our enemies, but we are not allowed to do this for ourselves. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Christians are taught to follow Jesus, who taught the radical way of love. You have heard it said, an eye for an eye, but I tell you, love your enemies. And Jesus taught, as did the prophets in the Hebrew Bible, God desires mercy, not sacrifice. Third, capital punishment is unjust, unfair, and inequitable. It is a well-known fact that the number of African American men arrested, incarcerated, and sentenced to death dramatically exceeds their percentage among the general population. I understand that 40% of the people on Texas death row are African American, and they make up 12 to 13% of the general population. This disproportionate treatment and the great inequalities with respect to the treatment of African Americans and other ethnic minorities in the legal system, it has existed throughout most of our history, and it continues today in a systemic racial bias in the administration of the criminal justice system. Finally, innocent persons are put to death, and that is intolerable. Troy Davis was executed by the state of Georgia last month. At that same time, within 24 hours, the state of Texas executed the unrepentant racist murderer of James Byrd. But in the case of Georgia, my opinion doesn't change as to either set of circumstances. But the state of Georgia killed an innocent man. The witnesses had recanted their stating that they had been coerced by the police. This is not a once-in-history occurrence. And with the incredible advances in science and particularly DNA testing, innocent people are being released regularly. Many countries have abolished the death penalty, capital punishment, and use instead a much more reasonable, compassionate, alternative sentencing of life in prison without any possibility of parole. The United States of America joins Iraq and China among countries still allowing state-sanctioned murder. Thank you.